Hey Sound Collective, I'm just joining you here from my home studio. I just want to do this video to talk about some of the equipment that you're going to need if you want to do home production and just develop your skills. So we're just going to go through those and talk a little bit about what your options are, possible pricing of these things, and hopefully it'll answer some of the questions you've been thinking about in terms of wanting to take your music production to the next level. Right, the first thing that you're going to need is a PC or a laptop or a MacBook or a standalone computer, but basically something to run the software that you're going to be editing your music on. For myself, I started off on a laptop. That was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. The specifications of that was it had 250 gig solid state hard drive. The CPU was 2.5 gigahertz, and it had 16 gig of RAM, and I found that was just enough to get me going on Ableton and run a few of the plugins and be able to just get me started. Really, that was sort of the minimum, but it was a little bit slow, but it was usable. Now, as my music production has developed, I've basically been upgrading. I've upgraded twice since my first laptop and getting started on music production. And the latest laptop that I've got is it's basically got a terabyte of hard solid state hard drive. It's got 24 gig of RAM, and the processor is an Intel Ultra 9 a 2.9 gigahertz processor, so it's a lot faster, and it just renders the tracks and runs all the plugins really effectively. So that's what I use now. But depending on what you're doing and how many plugins and other things you're having running on your computer, that's really what's going to affect what you decide to go for. Now, if I was starting out from scratch and I basically hadn't got any computers or anything, my advice would be to get a MacBook Pro. The reason for that is the way that it works in terms of its operating system. It actually needs less RAM to actually run, just because of how the actual computer itself is made up and where the actual components are positioned in comparison to a PC. So if you can afford it, get a MacBook Pro. You could get one secondhand, and they'll still be pretty good. You know, they usually last quite a few years. So if I was starting again, that's what I'd advise anybody to get, because you've got a lot of room to develop in terms of the power of it, and it can handle just about everything. Plus, it's probably the industry standard that most people use. Not to say that you can't use PC, and like mine is a Windows PC, and it works fine. But if I was to start again, I would use a MacBook Pro. Now, here's just some images around me here of some of the possible options regarding your different computers and laptops and stuff. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to get is an audio interface. Most computers, PCs, MacBooks, they do not have the processing power within their sound card to give you professional sounding HD quality sound. So I highly suggest that you would get an external sound card in the form of an audio interface. The one that I've got is Focusrite Scarlett, which you can probably see up in the corner here. They do quite a range of different models depending on how many inputs you need and what you're using it for. I've got a middle of the range one with some extra inputs because I run my turntables through it, as well as my monitor speakers for the studio setup. Now, there are quite a few audio interfaces out there, so I'll just picture some of them around me here. And they range in different amounts of price range, but you just have to really go and do a bit of research and find what suits your needs. But yeah, like I said before, Focusrite have a really good range in their Scarletts, and that has been really useful for me. Right, after your audio interface has been decided on, the next thing you would probably want to get is some good studio monitor speakers. Now, there's a range of those just pictured around me now. The ones that I've actually purchased for myself was the Adam Audio speakers, just their base level ones. They give a real quality, crisp sound. You can also, some that my friends and a lot of other people have used for years are the Rockets, the KRKs, and they're fine, and they're real good sort of bang for your buck. There's also Yamaha HS speakers, which a lot of people have used, Cali Audio LPs, JBL 305Ps, Mark IIs. I think they've got some really good reviews. But there's quite a lot around, for a budget, and then the price can go exponential the higher up you go. That you can get some monitor speakers that are like $50,000. So it's just like crazy. But the ones I'm talking about here are more in the hundreds to thousands sort of dollar range. So quite affordable for a home studio setup. Now, when you're on the road and you're wanting to work, away from your studio space, you can get yourself some monitor headphones. Now, there's quite a few different ones out there. The KRKs do a really good, cheap sort of budget one that's relatively, it's in the $100 range, $100 to $300, depending on the model. But the ones that I've gone for were the Biodynamic. These headphones here. These are the DT770 Pro X's. These are really good value for money when they've been compared to some of the higher end ones. And when I compare listening through these through other speakers, it gives you a really balanced frequency range and just a real clarity in terms of what you're listening to. So often when I'm producing, I'll be using my monitor speakers, and then I'll check it on my headphones, and I'll be able to pick up some of those really fine details within a track that I can't actually hear just through the monitor speakers. So it's really good to be able to have multiple things to listen to your music through, so you can it gives you a bit of a guide as to how it's sounding and whether you're getting the levels of everything right. Now, the next thing you're going to want to consider is whether you feel you need some external monitors. The reason for that is when you have a normal PC or a laptop, the screens are pretty small really, and the amount of detail that you're going to be seeing when you're doing your music production, it really helps to have a larger screen. I started off on two 17-inch monitors that I was able to just have sitting next to each other and have all of my different plugins opened up along with the door on different screens, and then I upgraded to a 43-inch Philips, I think it is, a Philips screen, which you can just see over here. And that's just a lot better for me in terms of just being able to see all the detail, within a track, the waveforms, and it can get real fiddly if you're just doing it on a laptop. So, if you want to be able to develop and really focus on what you're doing, I suggest you get a big screen or two monitors. You can pick them up pretty cheap secondhand off eBay or whatever is available to you in your country. But yeah, it's quite a game changer when you go to multiple screens, and it really helps just get that fine detail sorted out in terms of editing and producing your tracks. Now, the next thing you're going to really need to decide upon is what DAW to use. And DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation. Now, there's quite a few of these out there. Ableton Live is the one that I use, and it's one of the industry standards, along with Logic Pro, Pro Tools, Cubase, Reason, and I think there's one other, yes, FL Studios, Fruity Loops. So those are the main ones that people use. The reason I use Ableton was because when it came out, it was really designed as a tool for live performance. So you could put all your different parts of a mix in, and a lot of pro DJs started using that for their performances, and they still do to this day. So yeah, it's a really good one, and I would highly recommend it. Plus, I will be doing videos like this, basically all about how to use and different ways of using Ableton. Like the difference between them, you can still follow along in videos and transfer the knowledge that you would pick up if you watched a tutorial in one DAW compared to another one. But yeah, I'm just going to be doing them on Ableton because that's what I've got. So yeah, I'd highly recommend you get Ableton Live. Right, after you've chosen your DAW and you're getting to grips with that, you're probably going to be wanting to do live performance. Now, you can do it just through your laptop and create backing tracks through that, but what you also can do is use a MIDI controller to trigger loops. You could also play it like as a keyboard. A lot of them have mini keyboards, as you can see by some of the images around me now. And they can come in all shapes and sizes, variety of different costs. I use a push 2 controller. They have brought out a push 3 since I got mine a few years ago. But yeah, they're going to be constantly updating. Really what you're going to need to do is do the research into understanding what you're actually needing it to do, and then what your budget limits you to and everything else. But there's such a huge range of different options out there. It's just a case of picking what suits you and what is going to work for the type of performance that you're doing. But that's just about it from the equipment side of things. If you've got any questions, just feel free to ask and we'll continue the conversation. Now, I think Janine's going to put a link to a free version of Ableton Live so that you guys could download that and have a go if you're not familiar with Ableton. But yeah, I found it quite overwhelming when you first open it up when you've never used a DAW before. But there's so many tutorials out there, and I'm going to be doing a lot of tutorials, so I can go back to the total basics if anybody needs that. But yeah, at the end of this Zoom call, just write in the comments the sort of information you guys want to know and in terms of your learning, and I could probably produce some videos to help you guys in Ableton to sort of answer some of those questions and help you on your music production journey.